Hello, and welcome to this week's Movie Math, where it seems that very soon Joker will be the only movie in the $1 billion club with a budget of under $100 million, along with Minions and Despicable Me 3. Bad guys unite! I think Joker would find that very funny, and I say it with love. It's certainly a huge achievement for Warner Brothers and Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix. Because yes, Joker, this time with the lowest drop in the top 10 at a stunning 28% hold in its fifth weekend, is well past $900 million worldwide. Myself and the trades thought it would end up somewhere in the $900 million range, but at this rate, it should join the $1 billion club by next weekend, if not sooner. And we shall celebrate. But what I want to say for now is that don't forget that there won't be a sequel announcement probably, or any type of follow-up announcement, until after the Oscars on February 9th. Because Warner Brothers, I think very shrewdly, won't want to upset that delicate artistic commercial balance when it comes to how awards voters view the film. I think that announcing a follow-up project would seem a bit mercenary, and now I think they just want to focus on the success of this film and how it's resonating with at the very least, audiences. And I think a number of people in the media and the entertainment business are supporting it as well. Very curious to see how it does with awards nominations. However, while Warner Brothers has had a major breakthrough with their DC franchise, Paramount and Skydance failed yet again to resurrect Terminator, a la, say, Jurassic World. It can be done! Franchises can sink to the lowest of the low, and they can still be brought back with the right creative people. I'm sure David Ellison is like, no fate but what you make it my ass. Yes, expect everyone to try and scapegoat this disaster. James Cameron already revealed over the weekend that he and Tim Miller fought in the editing room. He said he had like this very dramatic description. He was like, oh, there's blood on the editing room walls. And they're like, there's blood in the finance sheet too, Jim. But Cameron also admitted that it was his idea to kill off John Connor in the first 10 minutes of the movie. So, I mean, look, Terminator Dark Fate is clearly not a movie that fell apart in the editing room. So I think James Cameron's complaints seem ridiculous. I mean, it clearly fell apart in the writer's room, which brings up the point that Skydance put together a writer's room in the first place, and I think we all know that doing anything creatively by committee is never a good idea. Everything that succeeds has one strong visual leader, right? Even the MCU has Kevin Feige in the leadership position. I mean, if James Cameron didn't want to fully come back, he shouldn't have done us any favors. James Cameron. We're going to talk a little bit about James Cameron even more. But first, I want to talk about the fact that some of the trades pointed to toxic fandom being to blame once more, and how male trolls were upset about John Connor's fate. But I have to point out that a lot of women were upset as well. But I think Hollywood would really benefit from replacing toxic fandom with fans who care about characters that Hollywood asked them to care about in the first place, right? You did too good a job, Hollywood. You're a victim of your own success. Damn it, they love the characters that we created, and they're not happy when we try and shunt them aside, very sloppily and disrespectfully so. Because I would say that, to blame it on male trolls, because, they're trying to put it in the Ghostbusters situation, but I think Ghostbusters to some degree also fits under shoving beloved characters aside, right? I mean, but when you see the success of Wonder Woman and the even bigger success of Captain Marvel, and, the whole Alien franchise and Sarah Connor to begin with, and many, many other movies, clearly audiences don't have a problem with strong female characters. Audiences, they know when a movie is diversifying organically and when it's just tokenism, a cash grab, right? A blatant cash grab. Because for all of Terminator Dark Fate's blatant efforts, the audience was still overwhelmingly male at 58%, with only 22% of the audience Hispanic, whereas for a movie like Coco, Hispanics made up 36% of the audience. It should have been bigger with that strong Mexico play. So yeah, Terminator Dark Fate delivered one of the lowest openings for the franchise ever, even lower than Terminator 2, which was in $1991, by the way. And while it did get a B+ from audiences, so did Terminators 3, 4, and 5. The trades are saying it will take $480 million for this movie to break even, with its higher budget, advertising costs, Plus, there's back end for Cameron and Arnie. Although, if I were Paramount and Skydance, if James Cameron said what he wanted to do with John Connor, I'd be like, I'll let you do it if you forfeit your back end. Let's see how much you really believe in this idea, Jim. And I think he would have said, nope, and then that wouldn't have happened. So I think, not enough do studios ask talent to put their money where their sometimes big mouth is. And with Terminator Dark Fate underperforming in the US and overseas, including China, that 480 is unlikely. This is not the ideal lead up to James Cameron's upcoming Avatar movies, right? And it would seem that maybe the filmmaker is not evolving along with his audience, certainly not audience tastes. I hope that these new Avatar movies have some amazing must-see VFX, which is largely what helped the first film. Although some people really, to be fair, love the first Avatar. I don't understand them, but they exist. There's some talk today in the Hollywood Reporter that maybe James Cameron, who's plotted out a trilogy, could move this to the small screen, but I think everyone's pretty tired of not only Terminator at this point, but I think to some degree James Cameron. He should, I think Martin Scorsese should take note. All of James Cameron's negative headlines in the press, he's always complaining about what other people are doing, but not doing anything good himself. And I think, he should take a little bit of a break before Avatar, maybe someday comes out. All right, but speaking of today's audiences and toxicity, there's a little bit of that going on here. Harriet was able to find an audience, which is fabulous. I loved that movie. Despite, though, Cynthia Erivo having a controversy, which has, I think, weighed down the film and kept some people from seeing it. It certainly shadowed the film on social media. Erivo was very good here, but one has to wonder if the movie would have opened even bigger with a different actress in the lead role. Audiences who did see the film gave it an A+, and it had tremendous support from the African-American community at a whopping 50%. That's fantastic. And it opened on par with Selma when that movie went wide in 2015. I don't see Harriet being a huge awards contender, but I think it could have amazing staying power and certainly help Cassie Lemons level up with her career a la Ava DuVernay. And maybe Erivo will get something out of this, but if I were a studio executive, I would wonder what she cost the movie. As for the weekend's other new releases, wide releases, both Arctic Dogs and Motherless Brooklyn barely opened in the top 10. And while Edward Norton has thanked Warner Brothers for being so supportive of him with this movie, maybe they shouldn't have, as it's got a low Rotten Tomatoes score, low box office, and as a result, low awards chances. So I'm glad. Is Warner Brothers in the Make Edward Norton Feel Better business? It looks like it. All right, now speaking of awards season, Parasite and Jojo Rabbit, which both expanded this weekend, but still neither has gone wide, are almost in the top 10. So close! I can't believe Arctic Dogs, Motherless Brooklyn took their spots. But Jojo does go wide this coming weekend, and we'll see what Neon does with Parasite's expansion. Parasite did, however, pass up The Lighthouse overall, and The Lighthouse seems to have peaked. Which is not great for its awards chances, to be honest with you. Netflix, of course, because they never do, didn't report on The Irishman's box office, which opened in 8 theaters in New York and Los Angeles, because movie theaters, of course, as we've discussed before, won't play the film because Netflix insists on a 30-day window. The National Theater Association played pretty dirty by doing an interview with the Hollywood Reporter over the weekend, saying that Netflix had bungled an opportunity to work with theater owners to get Marty Scorsese's film in front of more audiences. But I have to say, as someone who went to one of those 8 theaters, I went to the Belasco here in New York City, which has been selling out. It's only $15 a ticket. Netflix didn't upcharge anybody, even though I think they created a very amazing experience, especially at that price point. I'd say it was magical and truly celebrated film as an art and a communal experience. Everything the Oscars say that Netflix tries to tear down. It was very, very good. And I would say that Netflix might end up having the last laugh. They might have really struck upon something here, perhaps by accident, and trying to work around the theaters. But if they maybe buy a couple of theaters, they're trying to buy theaters in New York and Los Angeles, the Egyptian and the Paris, I think. It would be great if they could permanently take over the Belasco. Sorry, Broadway. It reminded me actually of the famous Ziegfeld Theater before it tragically was closed down. But if Netflix could have a couple of theaters, not just in New York and LA, but in all the major cities, not just in the United States, but maybe all over the world, they get one really nice theater house and they play their movies. You know, they have a new one every month or so. And they truly make it this kind of experience. I think people would flock to that. Marriage Story opens at the Paris here in New York on Wednesday. I think this could really work out for Netflix and might become something very exciting. I would love for them to do this again. And if you're in the tri-state area, as I tweeted, go see The Irishman at the Belasco. And the tickets are really starting to go, so make sure you buy them as soon as possible if you want to go. The tickets are on telecharge. As for the overall top 10, Addams Family has just a wee bit more money than Maleficent domestically. But still, I think that shows that Disney made the wrong bet when they decided to try and position the Angelina Jolie flick as Halloween fare. Whereas Addams Family was true Halloween fare. As for this coming weekend, it looks like Dr. Sleep will have an easy win, while Last Christmas, which is coming out way too early, and Midway fight it out with Terminator Dark Fate for second place. Playing with Fire also, for some reason, will hit theaters. And that's this week's Movie Math. Thanks for going over the box office with me. Be sure to share your thoughts down below. Subscribe today. And of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.